Much apologies, everybody, for the break in transmission there. Not sure what happened. You are, of course, watching Safari Live. I'm just getting back into my rhythm. My name is James Hendry. Yes, it is. Willem Doornbraak, with his unusually large thumb, is on camera. And we are, of course, completely live from the Maasai Mara and, of course, Djuma in South Africa. We'd love to hear from you. Any questions or comments you'd like to give us, hashtag Safari Live is how you get hold of us on Twitter. Otherwise, you can use the Facebook comment section if we're on Facebook, which we aren't right now. Otherwise, you can chat on YouTube. Either, any will work. The first thing I'd like to know from you is, what do you think happened to this poor Wildebeest? I suspect the murderous cat that put it up there, for I don't think it got up there itself, is around here somewhere, but possibly not quite as habituated as some of the similar cats at Djuma. Now, that is because they do not spend nearly as much time around vehicles as they do down there, over here. Yes, that is correct. And so what we'll do is we'll just do a little drive around here and see if we can't pick something up. Definitely hung up there by a leopard, I imagine. And we'll just see if we can't find it. That's a young wildebeest, probably about 7 months old, and I find it slightly morbid that, well, probably its immediate relatives are sitting just over there, and, well, they don't look very sad, which I think is a bit sad. All right, let's go around. Let's see what we can find around here. The other members of the team today, Scott is across the river looking for cheetah. Brent Leo Smith is out looking for lions as well. And down at Djuma, I believe we have Tristan and Tara also looking for bits and pieces at Djuma. So it's a full house today, and technical difficulties notwithstanding, we should have a fairly bumper show for you. Righty, we're going to look around here, see if we can find what is known as a chewie in local parlance. That's a leopard. Let's head across to Tristan in South Africa, who has got something, well, a little larger than a chewie, but quite chewy still.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our sunset safari from this side of the world, that being South Africa and Djuma. Now, it is a beautiful day, and as you can see, we've already managed to find an extra special little herd of elephants, and that is the short trunk herd behind me. Now, my name is Tristan, and on camera today I've got Craig, aka the Batman, and I'm really, really thrilled to be back, and especially because just down the road, as I've gotten out on drive, so we've stumbled upon this very, very special herd of elephants, like I said. Now, the reason why they're special is because the female on the right-hand side over there, you'll see that her trunk is a little bit shorter than normal. So, unfortunately for this elephant, probably what's happened is that her trunk has gotten stuck in a snare somewhere. Now, a snare is a wire trap that is often set for smaller animals by poachers that are looking for a bush meat that they can either consume or sell off, and an elephant gets their trunk stuck in it, and it sometimes then severs through. Now, the interesting thing about it is that elephants, even though they get this disability from its snare wound, you can see she's still very healthy. She's got milk that she's producing, which means she has a nursing baby, the one that was just off to the left there, and so she's able to survive all by herself without having to worry at all with this disability.
Hello, everybody. Sorry about that. Not sure what happened to Tristan. Oh, we just got a very special bird there, and it's a cuckoo of some sort, and I think it's a white-browed cuckoo. If I'm not mistaken, that is indeed what it is, a white-browed cuckoo. Might be a new bird for many of you, if you are keeping a bird list. We were looking in the depths of that bush there to see if we couldn't find the leopard, but we found a white-browed cuckoo instead, which has now obviously disappeared. So we'll keep looking around here. We haven't got very far from where we were. The tree's just behind us there. So let's drive around here together and see if we can't spot what is going on. We're not going to spend too much time here because I think that if this leopard doesn't want to show itself, it won't. You know how easy they find it to hide if they wish to. And so if this chap's feeling a bit shy, or it might not be a chap, it might be a lady. If she's feeling a little shy, well, then we won't see her. We might see a spot or two in amongst the bushes. I've only seen one leopard up in a tree. This is the second wildebeest carcass I've seen strung from a tree, but this one is fresh. And Karen, you say that is a new bird for you. I'm very pleased that we've managed to find you a new bird, the white-browed cuckoo. I would imagine that if she is around here, or he, can be round about inside these bushes here, but could so easily hide from us. Well, John, you said your leopards and the Mara tend to hang out near the river. Well, the river, if Viam Pan's down there, is probably, what, about 1.5 kilometers away, about a mile, at least, actually, as the vulture flies. So, not necessarily. I imagine you'll find that closer to the river and closer to the mountains, their territories will be that much smaller. And in these sorts of areas, when the wildebeest aren't around, of course, food not very plentiful, I think you'll find that the territories will be that much bigger. But I'm not holding out a great deal of hope right now that we're going to find this chap. I say chap because I think that wildebeest is possibly a little bit big for a female. Alrighty, let's go across. I haven't said this before. Back to South Africa, to Tara, who is at the hyena den.
Oh, welcome on board this afternoon, everybody, here at Djuma Game Reserve in South Africa. And it's absolutely wonderful to hear that we're linking with the Mara Game Reserve as well. And great to hear James is with you. And Tristan is back from leave, and my name is Tara. And joining me on camera this afternoon is Senzo. Hello, everybody, and we are at the hyena den again. We have really try to get the best visual of the hyena for you, but they're just on the side where there's a lot of vegetation. There's a lovely breeze coming through, so I don't think they're going to be moving too soon. It looks like little Antima is actually drinking from the mother, and the boat's just passed out now, and it looks like they are going to be there for a little wee while. But interestingly enough, Antima is probably around the 6, 7, 8 month old mark, and it's still going to be taking milk from mother for another few months yet. They can actually nurse up until about 18 months old, which is obviously quite a long time for a mammal. So usually they get weaned fairly quickly. If you think about the cats, they're usually weaned by about 3 months old, and they'll start eating solids, whereas the cubs of the hyena could get about 8 months old. They might start getting a few scraps here and there if they're lucky, but they'll only really go and join mum out on a foraging excursion in the evening when they're over about a year old. Otherwise, Antima's going to be sticking around the termite mound, and you'll slowly start to see the vegetation as an Antima grows up being chewed and torn apart. And it's quite interesting to see a termite mound that actually has had a few cubs in its day, because it starts off with a lot of vegetation, and over the time it just gets torn apart. Welcome on board, Blue Shark. Great to have you with us this afternoon. Asking if this is a spotted hyena, and yes it is. But you can see, even now, you can see it camouflaged really well, and that's why animals tend to have markings on their body, and it helps to break up the outline of the body. So even predators, if you think about leopards, they also have the spots of the rosettes, and then obviously the prey as well. It actually helps to conceal them from the predators, and when the predators are out foraging for an opportunity to hunt, it can help blend them into the vegetation, so it conceals them away from the prying eyes of the prey. Now, interestingly enough, hyenas are highly intelligent creatures, even though they don't always look it, and unfortunately they have a bit of bad press. But there is actually quite a big dominance hierarchy involved with the hyenas. So you have the females are very dominant, they're dominant over males, so it's a matriarchal society. But they've actually proven that hyenas can work together, and a high-ranking female is willing to learn from a low-ranking female. And they prove that by looking at hyenas in a confined area. and they had to work out, one had to pull a lever and one had to stand on a footplate at the opposite ends of the enclosure to be able to get the food, and they had to work together. And if a subordinate female knew how this worked, the more dominant female would actually be willing to learn from the subordinate. So really quite amazing creatures. So don't write hyenas off, whatever you do. It sounds like Tristan has got a lovely herd of elephants for you. So we're going to leave the hyena, see what else we can find while you enjoy the elephants.
Well, Tara, we have probably one of my favourite herds out here. I think this herd is second to Fang's herd, which unfortunately is still no word. I know a lot of you have asked about Fang, and I've had lots of messages about Fang. I still haven't heard anything about her or where she is at the moment, but I'm sure she's fine. I'm sure she's just enjoying the winter somewhere else away from Djuma, possibly on one of the rivers to our south, like the Sabi or the Sand River, and maybe even as she's gone as far north as the Elephants River. So I'm sure she's around, and I'm hoping that we will see her again fairly shortly. But other than that herd, I think this herd for me is one of the most special, just because of this matriarchal female and her short trunk, and how she's able to still look after all of these younger elephants and make sure that they stay nice and safe, and that she's in such good condition, considering we've just gone through a drought, and now we've had a fairly dry year this year. Even though there is vegetation for them to feed off, it still hasn't been the greatest year in rain, and she still looks wonderful. She's managed to find food even with her disability. Like our body, where our arm muscles all pretty much run linear, the elephant's trunk has muscles that run linear and around it, so it's able to manipulate that trunk in all kinds of ways, and that allows them then to wrap it around branches, even if they lack the little tips on the front that they'll use to pick up smaller things like marula fruits or any of the smaller twigs. They can still wrap their trunk around, and that's how she's able to feed. And you can see they just slowly, one by one, coming past, with the littlest one now on its way. Hello guys. What a way to come back to Djuma. One of my favourite animals to spend time with. And I think what they're doing now is they're going to slowly move up the hill behind me, and they'll go up towards Quarantine area and then on to Gari Dam. So I'm pretty sure we're going to get them at the Djuma Dam Cam at some point during the afternoon. It's going to take a while for them to get there, because first it's time for lunch, and so they're going to feed their way slowly as they go. Now I'm going to try and just turn myself slightly that I can just get the ones behind me. Now hopefully we won't lose reception again, because just in front is Philemon's Dip, and seems to be a little gremlin hideout at the moment, so we're going to try and avoid that as much as possible. But there we go, it should help, Craig. So just reposition slightly, and it's something about being lower than a herd of elephants. When you're sitting like this and you're at the same angle as their feet, their size really does get imprinted on you. It almost feels like they're that much bigger, and you get a sort of much better sense of how big these guys actually are, and it's really cool to see them from a low point of view. Interestingly enough, just before, well, not last cycle, because last cycle there were very few elephants around and I didn't get to see too many, but prior to that, the elephants that were around were feeding mostly off grass. Now, we've been sitting with this herd for the last 20 minutes or so, and I haven't seen any of them taking any trunkfuls of grass at all. So I'd imagine by now, at this time of the year, the grass is completely devoid of nutrients, and therefore the leaves are where they're turning. And I'm just watching all of them going through the different types of trees, and they've been feeding on all kinds of different types as they've been going along. Now, John, you're saying, have I ever seen an elephant seed another elephant with its trunk? Now, I'm not sure I quite understand the question. Maybe if you put it another way, we can be able to decode what you're trying to ask, because I'm not 100% sure in terms of what you're actually after. I see Short Trunk is just coming behind us. She's going to cross over shortly, and it's amazing to watch her, because she's got this very odd trunk that looks very funny now when she's looking up at us. So she's got her trunk up and sniffing, so she's sniffing up the hill, and there you can actually see just how much shorter it is than a normal trunk. There we go, look, she's busy sniffing. Just checking what's going on. There's a bit of a breeze that's coming from our northern side, and so maybe she picked up the scent of something on the air, and that's why she was just lifting her trunk and checking what's going on. See, she's now smelling us a little bit. Our scent is now blowing from us to her. So there we go. Now the question was whether or not they would feed, not seed. Sorry, my comms are a little bit bad, and it's my first afternoon back, and the brain's a bit scatty after driving a little bit, so I do apologize about that. But yes, most definitely, I have seen it before. We used to have a young bull elephant in this area that had a similar situation as this to this female, where his trunk was almost cut off quite close to the tusk, so very high up, and therefore didn't have enough to be able to grip plants and vegetation and be able to eat it. And you would find that the females would actually break branches off and put it into his mouth, and then from there he would be able to chew it. So I have seen it before. I've seen another herd do it as well. But with this particular elephant, her trunk is mobile enough that she doesn't actually have to worry too much. She's still able to wrap it around branches. She's got enough length on that trunk to still be able to feed themselves. So now that all makes sense, because I was wondering why seed. I was thinking of all the different possibilities, but feed makes a lot more sense. So thank you for clarifying that, Chantal. I do apologize. Got to get the ears cleaned out. I was down by the coast. Maybe there's some sand in my ears that needs unblocking. Now, I'm going to sit and enjoy the company of this beautiful, relaxed herd of elephants, because they are one of my favorites. And while I do that, I believe Brent Leo Smith is driving around in the Mara, and that's a name I haven't said for quite a while. So I hope Brent is well, and let's go across to him to see what he's going to be up to this afternoon.
Hello everybody, welcome back again to this part of the drive. What I wanted to show you here, we're just sort of driving through a giant group of wildebeest. They're spread out probably over a space of, I'd say, I don't know, from where I can see here, say 1,000 hectares or so, 2,500 acres. All of them shouting at each other. And there's one chap up here specifically, look at him there. This will be a bull trying to set up a temporary territory. He spotted a young bull in the territory, and he's now chasing them out. And this is of course pointless because mating is long since over, but the bulls do this from time to time. And his territory will disappear as fast as this herd moves on, so it's completely transient. I'm imagining that there must be a pride of lions around here somewhere. That is our objective, is to find a pride of lions interacting with this herd. And the reason for that, of course, is that we want to see how the predators are enjoying the migration. Let us continue. Bill, you want to know if royal antelope are found in the Mara? Bill, they are not found in the Mara. I'm just going to check where they are found for you. I'll just get my book out. And for those of you who don't know what a royal antelope is, I'll show you a picture of it. Excuse me, just taking all my kit out. This is the best book for that. A for antelope. R for royal. Antelope. 1 second, everybody. You just... We don't need to look at me, Vim. We can look at the wildebeest migration. Or we could just look at me. That is your favourite, isn't it? You find that very funny indeed. I can't find the royal antelope. I've seen it many times in this book. Here we go, royal, 244. Phew! Thank you, Vim. Thank you so much. Alright, there is the royal antelope there. It is a tiny, tiny little thing. It is a, I suppose you could think of it as a sort of a duiker. Very closely related to the duiker, and it's found only in West Africa there, around the Ivory Coast. There we are, and Togo, Benin, Nigeria, that sort of area there. In fact, it doesn't occur in Togo or Benin. I can see both of those. Anyway, West Africa. Royal antelope sounds like it should be something the size of a sable, but it isn't. Let us just take one moment to appreciate the sounds. The other sound that you can hear is the sound of the wind that's coming up, and well, the last few, in fact I think just about every single afternoon I've been out here, we've had a thunderstorm of some sort, and yesterday Fergus and I very nearly got caught in a horrendous storm. Anyway, we managed to stay clear of it, and we're going to try and do the same today. But there is a storm brewing over to the far sort of northeast there, one brewing over the mountains there to the west, and hopefully nothing to the south of us, so we'll keep going that way. The roads here in some areas are not particularly impressive, so it is a little bumpy, and I apologize for that. Ooh, there are some bulls having a fight. There we go. The fight is over, but Tristan is not without the same thing that he has been with all afternoon.
So we're still sitting with our beautiful herd of elephants. They actually haven't moved too far. They're in full feeding mode at the moment, and also with the weather that we've had today, strangely enough there was rain around this morning, and it's quite overcast and a bit chilly, and so you'll find often when it's like this, if there's a bit of a breeze blowing, the ellies will try and head into thicker, denser areas where they'll spend time feeding, and only once it gets a little bit later in the day and that wind starts to drop will we see them start coming out and then going and having a drink. So even though I think they will eventually make it up towards the dam camp, I think it's going to take quite a while for them to get there. You can see she's got still stuck by the termite mound, and I wonder if she might go up towards the mound itself. You often find elephants doing it, particularly because the termite mound contains a lot more nutrients and therefore better for feeding. Lauren, all the way from Illinois. Hello, Lauren. You want to know whether the short-trunked elephant can pick up marula fruits? I'm not sure, actually. I would imagine that maybe she's worked her way out, and also if you have a look at the way that trunk is shaped, it almost looks as though the way it's healed, that there's a sort of edging towards that trunk that maybe she can manipulate and be able to pick up marula fruits. I wasn't here during the marula fruit season when she actually came. I sort of only saw her after the fruiting of those marulas, so it would be interesting to know. I wonder if maybe James or Brent or Jamie or Scott maybe has potentially seen this particular elephant feeding off marula fruits before, but I certainly haven't. I would imagine it would be very difficult. She'd also probably have to buckle her knees a little bit just to get low enough to be able to pick them up, but it's not to say that she can't. Like I say, the way that trunk is healed, it almost looks as though there's two little edgings to the trunk itself that seem fairly sort of mobile, and that she's able to manipulate quite well, and maybe she can pick them up. It'll be very, very sad story if she can't, because it's a time of the year that a lot of elephants make use of, and they get a lot of nutrients out of that, and it's a time of plenty for everyone. So if she's not able to feed off them, it would be quite a shame. So take care. You're wondering if the trunk has any bones. Well, no, it doesn't have any bones. If you look at the way that trunk is being manipulated now, you see how it twirls on itself and moves around everywhere. It can't do that if there was a solid bone structure in there. So there's not even any cartilages in there. That is all muscles that runs down. So it's all the way up into the nasal cavity, and that's where you'll get the connective tissue and then the bone forming on the skull itself. But the trunk itself has no bones in it whatsoever, and they need it not to have bones because that trunk has to extend, it has to shrink, it has to wrap around things, and bones would mean that they wouldn't be able to do half of what they can do. Remember, with our arms, if it wasn't for the fact that we had digits on our hands that are able to grip things, we can't bend our arms around branches, and it would be the same for the elephant, and it would really limit their ability to be able to feed. And so they have to use their trunk to be able to get round and to manipulate and to try and get all the different types of vegetation that an elephant needs to survive. Remember, elephants, they're going to be feeding off grasses, roots, leaves, and so they need their trunk to be fairly maneuverable to be able to get all these different kinds of food items that they get out here. But it looks as though they are going to start disappearing into a wall of vegetation. This area here in front of us is very thick and very dense. So I think I'm going to leave them for now. I'm going to go and check around what else there is about and see maybe if we come back a little bit later, if they don't pop out somewhere closer to the dam where we'll be able to see them again and hopefully get them having a little drink. So I think that's what we're going to do now and leave them be and let them have their afternoon of feeding. Right, now while I leave our beautiful herd of elephants and go and explore the southern parts of Djuma and see what's been around over the last few days, let's go across to Tara, should I say, not Taylor, all these T's, there's 3 T's now, and let's go see where Tara is and what she's up to, and to send my apologies for calling her Taylor.
Hello everybody, and I am busy trying to look for any tracks of the leopard. So we're actually heading west towards Sydney's Dam along the fire break here just north of Voyatella Access. I'm looking on top of the termite mounds, seeing if the leopard's going to be sunning itself on top there. Oh, hello yellow-billed hornbill. Oh, there we go. Just on the left there. There we go, in the sunlight. And where's your friend? Now, sometimes these birds will actually team up with the dwarf mongoose, and they've actually been known to sit and wait outside a dwarf mongoose burrow or the termite mound that they're using as the home, and wait for the dwarf mongoose to wake up. So it looks like its pair's just flown off. Now, it really is amazing what these birds can get the bill around. We've seen them eating a chameleon the other day. I've seen them eating a bat. Literally, whatever they can get their bill around, they will eat. Now, the reason why they will actually make a relationship with the dwarf mongoose, it's called a mutualistic symbiotic relationship, and they get the benefit of looking for any escaping insects or anything like that that the dwarf mongoose miss. The dwarf mongoose actually benefit because, as you can see, they sit up in the branches, so they've got obviously a much higher view over everything, and they can give any alarm call of any predators that could prey on the dwarf mongoose, because they are in fact the smallest carnivore in South Africa. And unfortunately, if you're small, other things are going to eat you. I just love the way they strut their stuff. There might be some ants on the ground that he's eating. They will search through animal dung as well, so especially when it's the fruiting season, they will search through elephant dung for the marula fruits that haven't been digested fully. So if anyone does have any questions they would like to ask, this is completely live. We have no idea what's going to unveil in front of us as we drive through the African bush. So if you'd like to ask any questions, send them through to #SafariLive. I will be more than happy to answer them for you this afternoon. Hi Jenlyn, welcome on board this afternoon. Asking if yellow-billed hornbills are migratory, and they're not. So if you see any of the birds around here, we are in the winter time, so any birds that you see here are more than likely going to be residents. So the migrants will only start coming back once it becomes the spring. So as we go into October, November, we're going to get the migrants coming back. Now, I'm surprised we haven't seen or heard some brown-hooded kingfishers. They're usually another bird that is out and about this time of year, and often you can hear them quite a lot because during the summer they tend to get a bit drowned out by the other birds. So it'd be nice to see if we can find one of those this afternoon. Now you might be thinking, but hold on a minute, there's not a lot of water around for a kingfisher. But actually, there's about 10 species of kingfisher in South Africa, and only 4 are really found around the dams. The rest are found in the bushveld that you can see around you, and they'll eat lizards and things like that. And the brown-hooded kingfisher is one of those. So we're going to carry on. We're going to check the termite mounds as we go, and hopefully not disturb the yellow-billed hornbill too much. Hopefully it'll fly back to where those ants are. I'm sure it's a bit of a feast down there for it. So we'll head through to the dam, see if the leopard might be drinking, because it's quite a pleasant temperature this afternoon. There's a few clouds in the sky, which does suggest that there is it's going to stay quite cool. And as I say, if it's overcast and quite cool, then you can get predators out and about this day. And if it's really nocturnal species like the pangolin or the aardvark, so I think as we look for tracks, we'll keep you posted, of course. And it sounds like it's going to join us on drive this afternoon. Hi Brett, I hope you're well.
Well, thanks very much, Tara, and it's been a while. Now, of course, my name is Brendan Smith. I have money on camera, and I'm heading south at a rate of knots. I got a report that there were masses, hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of animals moving from Tanzania back into Kenya. Now, it doesn't really look like it at the moment, but when I put my binoculars up and I look down straight south of us into that hill, that one there, that's in the shadow. Now, all of a sudden, you suddenly see millions and millions of little spots and massive herds of wildebeest. So we're hoping that there's going to be some interesting stuff happening down in the south. There we go, lots and lots and lots. So we've had some rain in the last couple of days, and that brings all those bringing all those wildebeest back. Now, of course, we're going to head now back to Djuma to Tristan, who's just driving around because I say Tristan can't find any leopards.
Now we're going to try and see if we can't check Treehouse Dam and then down towards Twin Dams and hope that there's maybe a little spotted cat. Also, I'm interested just to see what the dams look like after a few days of drier weather, although I believe it did rain one of the days that I was away. So it'll be interesting just to see how they're looking and whether or not there's been any change. The bush itself looks fairly similar, if not a little bit drier, but really not too much of a change. I suppose I was only away for a week, so not really much changes in that time. Out here, it takes a little bit longer than that, but I will check and just see Treehouse and see what's lurking and sitting about. Now, I believe Brent, all the way from the Maasai Mara, reckons that I won't be able to find a leopard. Brent, is this a challenge? I bet you I find a leopard before you do. And I reckon that I've got good money on that. What do you think, Craig? You think I can find a leopard before Brent? Come on, Craig. You're supposed to support this team. So Craig says, yeah, he thinks so. So hopefully we'll be able to find a leopard. And wouldn't it be nice if Hosana or Shongile was just sitting at Treehouse Dam? That would certainly put a little dampener in Brent's step, although not that he ever gets down about any of these things. He'll just drive him to find a leopard quicker, that's all. So hopefully he can find a leopard in the Mara. It seems as though he's had a few sightings of them, and unfortunately there's not going to be a leopard sitting here if there's a whole bunch of impalas that are bouncing around over the road. So you can say they're just jumping over from the dam itself. So I highly doubt that there is a leopard sitting anywhere too close. We'll have a little look around anyway, because we know sometimes Hosana and Shongile are a little bit on the sneaky side. But while we do that, I believe James Henry has outdone Brent and myself and has already found the first predator of this afternoon.
Well, I'd love to say it was me, everybody, but it was Kakaya, who's our game guard sitting on the back of the car, spotted this animal as I was whizzing past. Young male lion, don't know who he is, but if you look just over the top of his head, you may see the dotting of ants on the horizon. They aren't ants, of course, they are the gnues of the migration. So we're going to sit with this cat and see what he does. He doesn't look very full to me. He looks like he has probably, well, I don't know, he's probably eaten in the last day or so, but if you're a lion in the migration, you've almost always eaten in the last day or so. The trick is going to be to get around this small laga, aka trench. I think that's been dug by the road crew. So we're just going to go back onto the road and around. And with any luck, he will continue his merry way towards the wildebeest and eat one in front of us. It would be very nice of him. So that is our objective. That's the trifecta we're looking for here while the migration's in town. 1, a wildebeest. 2, a predator. 3, very importantly, signal. We've got all 3 here. That's very seldom happened to me. Let's try and get off the road without getting stuck. Nothing would give Brent Leo Smith more pleasure than to hear that I had got myself stuck in the mud, because he thoroughly believes that I will be the first. I thoroughly believe the same thing. There we go. We'll just go around this man-made laga. And he's definitely looking towards the herds there. So that's great news. Hello, our beard. You're wondering if a young male lion's beard starts off as a mohawk, his mane. Our beard, yes, absolutely, his mane does start off as a mohawk. It's not the most attractive thing when they're young. It's a little bit like, you know, when a young boy starts to develop his first beard, or in Brent Leo Smith's case, his current beard. There we go. What happens is that it takes a long time for them to fill out, and they have that sort of teenagerish look about them, where the beard is not quite full. So I think we'll sit with him for some time and hope that he does some hunting. That's interesting, John. I don't know the answer to that question, really. You say, do young males find it easier to hunt because they've got a smaller mane than the big males? I don't think so, John. I think they're both very effective hunters. I don't think the big mane makes a big difference. I don't think it slows them down. I think what you'll find, it actually provides protection. I don't know how many times you've watched a takedown, but I don't know, go to YouTube and Google a slow motion takedown of a lion catching a zebra or something like that. They hit the ground very, very hard often, and often their prey is, well, sometimes weighs twice what they do. And that means, of course, the potential for injury is huge. So if you've got a big, thick, shaggy mane to protect your vulnerable neck and head region, then I imagine it must be, well, like wearing a sort of sponge over your head, if you like. So I don't think it slows them down. I think it probably helps prevent injury. But they're said to be slower than the females. I don't think I believe that. I don't think that a male lion is slower than a female. He's bigger. He's therefore got more reach. He's stronger. So I'm really not convinced that a male lion is any slower than a female at all. I think what you'll find, though, John, of course, is that a young male lion like this might have to hunt a little bit more than an older male who will sup on the proceeds of his pride. Whereas this chap won't be able to do that. And this chap, well, you know, he is pretty full, I must say. Anyway, we'll sit with him for a while and see if he doesn't go to get on the hunt again. Let's head back down to South Africa to, well, the most common antelope down there.
Hi everybody, we just had some male impala actually grooming each other, so I'm just wondering if we can have a look through there, because the sun's actually on them and it looks absolutely stunning. I know they're quite a common antelope, but they are so beautiful. So for those of you who don't know what this antelope is, it is an impala. Looks like we've got a mixed herd here, which is quite unusual this time of year, because we are coming up to a very short breeding season, and that's basically the rutting season happens around the March-April time, so that's in the autumn. But there may have been females that didn't fall pregnant, or they might have got missed for whatever reason. So there's another very short rut towards the end of August, beginning of September. So generally speaking, you won't get the mixture of males and females together when there is a rut on. So it is coming up to that period. But once the rut is over, then it is normal to see male and female mixing together, because the more eyes and ears to detect predators. Paul, welcome on board, Paul. Interesting question from you, asking why is the pronghorn, which is obviously found, pearl. Have I got that right? Pearl. Bill, oh, I'm so sorry, Bill. I'll get there eventually. So Bill wanting to know why the pronghorn isn't considered an antelope. And antelope don't tend to shed their horns, and deer actually do. But deer have multi-branched antlers, whereas antelope have a single branch. So the pronghorn actually has a bit of both. So the pronghorn is actually found in North America. So the pronghorn, it actually has a single branch, but they actually shed their horns. So it's kind of a mixture between the two. So you can see the horns there. They're actually covered in keratin, so it's your fingernail basically. It's the same substance, keratin, and the hair on your head as well, also keratin. So that's what covers the horn, and inside is a bony core. So if you look at the skull of the antelope, you actually have the horns attached, whereas the deer, it gets shed just at the base of the antler. So each year they'll grow a new set, and that new set will have a bit of skin over it, and the velvet obviously helps to protect the antler as it's growing, and then you see the covering as it comes through. So I was hoping we might get a little bit more into... Oh, there is a couple of males. Let me just move forward, because they are actually grooming. And just see if we can get them in the sunlight there, because that is absolutely beautiful, just through there. So you might see them sparring a little bit, but as I say, when there's no reason to fight, they will actually groom each other as well, keep each other nice and tip-top condition. Oh, this is interesting. Look at that behaviour. Everybody's just stopped what they're doing and ears are forward. What's going on? They're all wondering, but I can actually see there's a male impala probably about 80 metres away. There's another female as well walking towards the herd. So unfortunately this time it's not a predator. But that's the behaviour that we look out for, to see if there is a predator around. And if we actually started getting them snorting, then we know it is a predator. But you can see they've all gone back to doing what they were doing. So we have the allo grooming, just means that they groom each other. And it should be the other little male should actually return the favour to the big male. And apparently he's decided that he's not. Hi John, welcome on board this afternoon. John wanting to know if impala are the only antelope that have a second breeding season. And as far as I'm aware, I think they are. I might have to do a little bit of digging for that one. Because wildebeest are also seasonal breeders, generally speaking, so that they can actually coincide with the rains basically, and that's what really happens. Even the antelope that don't have a breeding season, they tend to peak when the rains arrive, and that's to give their youngster the best start possible. So obviously when there's a lot of vegetation around, there's a lot of nutrients available, so if the mum can actually get the nutrients, then obviously she can produce the milk needed to sustain her offspring, and then there's enough food for the offspring once they are weaned. So nothing else is springing to mind at this stage, John. But if anything does, I will let you know. So we're going to leave the impala because they've just headed off into the bush. So I think, yeah, they're settled for now, but at least we know where they are. So if they do start giving alarm calls, then at least we know where to find them and start looking for a predator. But speaking of predators, I believe James might have one of the largest predators in South Africa for you. Enjoy, everybody.
Well, and in Kenya, of course. Yes, there are two antelope that have... Oh, there... go again with that. There is an antelope, or not strictly an antelope, I suppose. It has two breeding seasons. It is the springbok, of course, of South Africa, the national animal of South Africa. Do it as well, and we know that impala do have two breeding seasons, but they don't necessarily breed twice, if you know what I mean. So those that don't go in the first one will get pregnant in the second one. But I have definitely read and heard that springbok will sometimes breed twice a year, and I wonder if the Thompson's gazelle doesn't do the same thing. This lion is neither a Thompson's gazelle, nor a springbok, nor an impala, nor does he have any form of distinct breeding season. And his ilk, of course, will only breed once every sort of 3 years or so. Now, I mean, he has eaten something over the last, I'd say 12 hours or so. And I'm in two minds as to whether we should remain with him, but we're so close to the herds that I think we probably should. Oh, Janet, you say, I think there are more leopards, lions or cheetah in the Mara. Janet, I'm 99% sure that you'll find that there are far more lions than there are anything else out here. Oh, there's some zebra coming straight towards him. See those, Vimpy? They're just straight over the front of us. I mean, the chances of him taking one of them on, I think, very small, but he might. And there's a little one. Hashtag Jeopardy. That's a little in-house joke, everybody. We're supposed to be pushing the jeopardy of the situation. There is some jeopardy here, though, genuinely. Let's just watch him carefully and see if he gets up. I mean, the wind is blowing from him to them, so he's not going to smell them. I have some theories about them smelling him, and I think it would be quite interesting to see if he's very well hidden from them, and I don't think that they're going to pick his scent up, and I think that's because lions don't smell. I know that might sound ridiculous, but I think they take a great deal of care not to be smellable by their prey. And they're very fastidious about staying clean, we know that. They're heading off sort of in an opposite direction. It's a pity we're parked where we are, because I think you'll find... Ooh, look the other way. Just behind you, chum. Behind you. Just there. Just behind you. Look. Yes. Yes. Keep going. Yeah. Yes. Just turn. Turn your head. Turn your... Yes. Yes. Well done. Now go and catch one. Go on. No one's going to do it for you. There's a little one there. No? Not interested. Grass is long, it's perfect hunting conditions, windy, they can't hear anything. Alright, we're going to sit here and see what happens here. Brentley O'Smith has managed to find 2 lions.
Well, actually, we've managed to find 8 lions in total, but these 2 are being the most busy now, and they're looking quite nice and hungry. So there we go, there's a bit of feline flirting going on. And we can tell Tristan that 8 lions is equal to 1 leopard. Of course, we're down in actually one of my favorite areas of the Mara Triangle. We're around Chumvia Kwanza, the first salt lick. And so there's 2 lionesses there. Now there's a lioness just off to our left who's looking quite intently behind us. I wonder what she's spotted. There we go, there she is. And probably about 150 meters away from her is a massive herd of wildebeest and zebra, probably easily over 100,000 in total, stretching right over the ridge. And so we're in a good spot. Well, we can't see how full everyone is yet, and there's another bunch of lions in the swamp behind us itself. And oh, hang on, where did they go? Well, apparently Tristan has found a leopard, but Tristan, I found my lions first, so I win. Boo-hoo, bear. Sorry for you. Okay, let's go see what Tristan's found.
Well, Brent, I would be upset too if I lost the challenge because, well, I know how Brent is with me, and both of us hate losing to one another, so I'm sure he's not very happy about this. But he did give himself a horrible situation, because had he challenged me to find lions before him, I would have never taken the challenge and probably would have lost just as quickly as what Brent has this afternoon. But isn't this exciting that we've got one of my favorite cats in the whole world, little Tumba, who's not so little anymore. He looks massive on that termite mound. He looks much bigger than at first I thought it was Hosanna when I got you, but he's definitely grown. He seems like he's got a little full belly as well, but unmistakable, those greenish coloured eyes and that big pink nose that he's got. So there we go. Isn't he looking fantastic? Now Brent wants to know whether or not we found Tumba or if we were called into the sighting. Well, Brent, we were called in, but only because we were about 100 meters from where the leopard was and somebody else got you before we did, so we ended up kind of finding it together. But I'll give it to Brent. We did get told that it was here, but we were on our way to Twin Dams, so we would have found him eventually had nobody else come here before us. But now we know that Tundi has been seen with Hosanna and has been mating and has been all over the place. And so I wonder if now little Tumba is off on his own, and wouldn't it be fantastic if he spent the majority of his time down in the southern section, little Hosanna in the central areas. Oh, and a big yawn. Isn't that magnificent? He looks so regal on top of that mound at the moment, and I suppose it is a overcast grey bed-weather day, so sitting on top and having a bit of a rest like that is absolutely perfect. But I'm sure many of you are as excited as I am to see Tumba. I don't know when the last time he was actually seen. I think it was still when Ali and Taylor were here before they went on leave. I'm not sure if he's been seen since then, but I can tell you now, since the last time I've seen him, he's grown massively. He looks huge up there, much bigger than I would have expected him to look. It might be because I also haven't been around for the last few days, and you kind of forget just how big these cats can be. But judging by his legs and just his body, he definitely has grown a little bit. Now, Brent is saying that he found the lions all by himself. Well, Brent, it's not hard when there's about 40 million lions in the Maasai Mara and there's not really too many obstructions. At least here we have to use tracking and varying other things to find things. So, well, and anyway, James found lions before you did anyway. So we'll take our leopard win and we'll have to have another challenge at another stage. But while we enjoy our male leopard lounging on his mound, let's go back to James, who actually is the real champion of today because he found cats before all of us.
Well, I'm going to hand that straight back to Tristan and say I think the finding of big ears was a much greater achievement than my finding this fat lump here. He's done nothing, I'm afraid. I think he's too full. It's either that, or as VM says, a zebra's difficult to catch for a male like this, I suppose, so he might be waiting for the cover of darkness. But he's certainly looking their way. Now remember that a cat is the ultimate opportunist, which means that even if he is full of wildebeest, which I suspect he is, he will certainly give it a go if the opportunity presents itself and it's quite easy. But I don't think that anything is going to be easy in this light. They have very wily and very fast. And he is now asleep with his tongue hanging out. It does make him look distinctly less than intelligent with his tongue sticking out like that. Now he's not panting, so he's not going which is what happens when they've just eaten a huge meal, but he is breathing quite heavily. And that indicates that he hasn't eaten he has eaten in the not too distant past. But he may have spotted a youngster. Ooh, that's interesting, isn't it, boy? Yes. Go on. Get up. Go and do your thing. And be a lion, like everyone expects you to be. Don't lounge about. I know you're a teenager in lion terms. That's no excuse. No. Too difficult to move. At least he moved when we first found him. This is interesting. I think you'll find that Wiem also said to me, he said, just check around here, there aren't some lionesses. That was in between mouthfuls of chocolate digestive biscuits. And I've been doing that and I can't find any. Not as many as the chocolate digestive biscuits that Wiem found. He's now eating another one as we speak. Now look how perfectly coloured he is. He's the perfect colour for this area. And as I said when I first got here, people were saying, is it more difficult for them to hunt here because they don't have the same cover that they do in South Africa? And I always said, no, I don't think it is. I think it's actually easier because they melt into the grass. They truly just disappear. And they can make quite a lot of headway towards what they're hunting without worrying too much about being spotted, which they can't do if they have to dash behind bushes all the time. Now, I was reading an interesting paper that Steph was sent today about cheetah and lion and hyena and them basically separating out their feeding times and whether they do it or not, because you will read, of course, that cheetah hunt during the day and so do wild dogs in order to avoid competition from lions and leopards. And yes, to a certain extent they do, but much as lions hunt a lot during the day during the migration season, so cheetah will hunt quite a lot at night on moonlit evenings. So there's no reason for him to wait for the darkness. If an opportunity presents itself, he will almost certainly get up and do something about it. But they're just a little bit too far away from him at the moment. Every time a youngster walks past, he turns his head and looks. He's definitely picking out the potential targets in each little kinship group that goes by. And then he decides, it's a little bit too much. Jack's mum, you think that he definitely is interested. Well, I would have agreed with you until he fell asleep right now. Now he's looking distinctly disinterested. Yes, put your tongue back in. It makes you look silly. Alrighty, the zebra have passed, but Brent's lions still have many amorous intentions.
Well, they are still definitely feeling, well, not so amorous at the moment, because that's the wrong lioness. So a third lioness has come to join us now. So as I said, there are 5 lionesses in this pride, and I did see another male a little bit earlier in the swamp. So when I found this pride on the previous 2 occasions, there were 3 males, and they look like they've just come into power here, and that's probably why they are feeling so amorous, because they are getting lucky trying to get spread their genetic pool, and so they're about, I'd say about 5 years old, so just coming into power. Oh, look at this, every time I look up, another lion appears out of somewhere. So here we go, there's another lioness there. And some of these girls are looking quite hungry. And as I say, there's about 100,000 wildebeest just in front of us. Oh, these ones are up here, Manu. There we go. You can see he's been walking through the swamp as we come round. You can see the black mud. He's obviously had a slip into the swamp. Now, this is quite exciting. So I really like this pride, and I actually spent the one TV show with him. And here we go. She's a little bit fuller than the others. Let's go see where they're off to. Now, I'm going to go be taking some pictures for James's character wall of this lot, because we don't have any good ID shots on these girls yet. Oh, hello, quick. So he was chasing the other lioness, so obviously she's not so amorous, or not feeling so amorous, and she's just chasing. There's a buffalo in the background as well. There we go, he's got a bit of a limp. I don't know what happened there. He just decided that he definitely did not want the females being friends. Hi, Stacy. Stacy's wondering whether a mating pair would not be interested in prey, even if it was nearby. Well, Stacy, they definitely would. If it was opportunistic, so they're not going to really go out, but I'm looking at her. I think she's trying to get rid of him. I think she wants to go hunt. She's very hungry in comparison to the other lionesses. You might find that he's been keeping her from feeding and that by lording so much attention upon her. So I think that's what's happening there. So we've got we got 4 females. There was another one we saw, so all 5 females from this pride accounted for. But not all the males. Now that's not unusual when they're mating. They're probably not far away, but he'll try to keep the other members of his coalition away, so he is able to have first rights. And she will mate with all males in the coalition, and it just depends on when and who and what. And male lion coalitions hierarchies change constantly, so depending on who's been injured, who's been hurt, it can depend on which male is going to be mating at that particular time. There we go. See, she wants to go look at the wildebeest, which are right in front of her. Well, we're going to sit with these guys and see what happens next. While we do that, it seems like Tristan's spotty cat is on the move.
This windy doesn't sound good, eh? Now, we're just trying to reposition a little bit because little Tumba decided to do some repositioning of his own, and all we could see was a little white fluff of tail sticking up from behind the termite mound. So he's still on the mound itself, but he's turned to face towards Twin Dams. You can see this is Twin Dams dam wall, so I'm sure he knows that every now and then food items come this way, and so it's for him going to be a perfect place to spend time. So I'm just going to try and get round quickly and see if we can't get a better view of him from here. There we go. At least Brent will be happy that his lions decided to mate. What are you doing? He's got his head in a bush at the moment, which can't be very comfortable at all. So there you go. You can see him perched on top of his mound, and his head is inside a tree, and he keeps trying to move it around, and it seems as though the tree is hitting him in the face. You silly boy. You were so comfy where you were. Now, to put his head like he has now, you can see the branch that's right there. It keeps popping his face there, and that tree's got little thorns all over it, so it's not going to be a very pleasant experience rubbing your nose against that tree. I think you should reposition, young man. But you can see, look how big he is. He's looking huge. That neck and shoulder area is starting to get quite big as well. Are you going to come down now? There we go. Let's see, where is he off to? I wonder if he's not going to go and have a little drink. Maybe all this attention has made him thirsty. No, we're going to sit there. Craig, I'm going to go back for you a little bit. So I'm just going to roll back because there's no need for us to actually drive because we're on a nice slope. So Mr. P, all the way from Canada. Hello, Mr. P. You want to know when well, how old is Tumba and when will he be on his own? Well, Tumba turned a year old in July, early July, so he's just about a year and 1 month now, and he seems as though he's in the process now of being left by his mother. Tandi has started to mate and is starting to find males, and so she'll be slowly but surely starting to push him out, but he still probably is with her. I have seen it with leopards when they do start mating. It takes a bit of time until they are able to actually kick their previous offspring off, and you'll find that they'll mate once or twice and they'll then come back to their young one and they'll spend a bit of time and then they go back and mate again. And only if she starts to actually fall pregnant and she feels like she's pregnant and she's got young ones inside will she then really kick this young leopard away and he'll have to go off on his own. So for now he's probably still dependent on Tandi, but she is definitely starting to look and to start moving around, and the process of him going on his own is definitely started, which is also quite young, much like Hosana and Shungile. Now I believe Scott, I think is what Chantal tells me, has got a beautiful male lion somewhere on a mound just like little Tumba, so let's go across and see.
Cute youngster. It's the smallest member of a pride of 10 lions that we've stumbled across. Unlike James and Brent, I am on the eastern side of the Mara River. There's a whole clump of lions back there, one or two more over there, and it's me, it's Scott. Good to have you with us. For those of you who don't know me, it's pleasure to have you on board. I'm teamed up with Ferg, and we've actually come out into this area in the hope that we were going to find some cheetah, but quite a few of the rivers that we needed to cross to get into the area where the cheetah are flowing too strongly, so we couldn't cross into the area where we wanted to get to. You can see there's a lot of cloudy weather out there to the east. We've had a little bit of rain already this afternoon, but most of which fell late last night, as I'm sure Brent and James have already told you. And isn't it wonderful that all three of us traversing the Mara have found you lions, and Tristan has found you a leopard, so it seems like an afternoon littered with big cats. These guys are quite well fed, and the reason being is there's large amounts of wildebeest in this general area. We can't see too many from here, interestingly enough. Actually, across on the hills there are a few, but most of them are actually behind us to I said further to the south, just beyond a small valley close to where we are right now, there's a multitude of wildebeest, so I'm guessing they've been snacking on them, and they actually just tried to catch one. There was a lone bull that came through and he nearly came unstuck. So a good message there, and that even though they are full-bellied, they will take whatever opportunities arise. Well, as you can see, things have calmed down here. You came at a good time to see at least a bit of movement. We're not going to be going anywhere. We're spending the whole night out.
Very, very exciting that we have so many kitties out here. Right, we have action here, everyone. Let's go for it. There's a zebra coming down the road. Here we go. Kirsten, are we going FB? One second. Okay, go for it. I'm going to wait right here. In fact, I'm not. I'm going to turn, Liam. I'm going to just get around the other way. This could be very exciting. Hello everybody watching the Facebook broadcast. We now have a lion right over here. There's a zebra walking straight towards him. They have no idea what's going on. We're going to position ourselves in such a way that if he does decide to make a chase, we'll be able to see him. You're just going to see his head peeping up over the top of that termite mound there. There he is. It's a young male. We've been sitting with him for about, I think we've been sitting with him probably for about 45 minutes now. He looks quite full. There come the zebra just over there. They've got no idea that he's there, and beyond them, massive herds of wildebeest. We are coming to you totally live from the Maasai Mara in Kenya. My name is James Henry, and on camera is Wiem, and the lion's just behind there. There he is. Well, you can't see him, of course, because he's a lion. He's hidden. Let's just move a little bit forward. You got him there. Alrighty, I'm going to just move slightly. See how he's slunk his shoulders down? Look how he's perfectly positioned his head in that long thicket of grass there. The tricky part of this is predicting what's going to happen and how it's going to play out. Right, what we don't want to do now is disturb those zebra at all, so we're going to stop completely here and wait and see what happens. Look how beautifully designed his head is. There he's moving now. He's full, you know, and he's just watched a whole lot of... This is fascinating. He's watched a whole lot of zebra walk past him. The wind was blowing a different way. It's now blowing from them to him, and perhaps that's why he's thinking that this is a better opportunity. The others were closer. There were smaller ones. I'm not going to move forward at all, because if I do, I think we're going to spook the zebra. This is wonderfully exciting stuff. There they are. They can look like they can sense that there's something wrong. Lynn, you've asked a question. There was a topi just the other side of the zebra there. You've asked if he's by himself. He is. He's a young male lion, and often during the migration season, young males who are nomadic, not yet with a pride, not yet with a territory, will move on their own, and sometimes move way out of their sort of normal range following the herds. Now you can see the leader of the zebra herd there, probably the oldest female in the group, looks a little bit suspicious. And I'm just trying to see, is she the female? It actually looks like a stallion. Now let's see if we can go back to the lion view. I think he's just behind that termite mound there. Somewhere over there. Like I say, I'm not going to move, because if I do, the zebra are going to move in the direction of the topi that you saw. There, we'll just watch very carefully, and the important thing here is to just keep an eye on the grass, because although we might think that he's behind that termite mound, he could very easily have moved through that long waving red oat grass. He is the perfect colour, and I think it's so interesting that he chose to move into the thickets of that grass rather than using the termite mounds. He's the perfect colour, as I said. Now he could be anywhere in there. I'm not sure where, so our task is to try and spot him, A, and B, make sure that we catch him when he runs. He's nowhere near close enough yet. Even if he was at the very edge of that grassy patch, he would still be about 40 meters from them, and he needs to be within 20 meters or so. That's about 70 feet at a sort of minimum. So let's just have a look here, unless there's a youngster that he manages to separate out. But there isn't a youngster in this group. Way in the background I can hear more zebra shouting. These chaps are very suspicious. They think that there is something up here. Now, Dale, you wondering how strong a lion's bite is? I can never remember the figures exactly here. Crocodile is 3,700 pounds per square inch. A human being, Dale, you have a bite of about 120 pounds per square inch. And if I'm not mistaken, a lion sits round about 800 pounds per square inch, I think. I could be wrong. So very powerful, and certainly powerful enough to take out one of these zebras. He would be able to do that on his own. He's probably about 3 years old, which means that he's got through the difficult stage of learning to hunt. And I've just had a communication, which I'm just going to ask Kirsten to check. She said 3,700 pounds per square inch, but I think that's what a crocodile is. I'm going to sneak very, very slightly forward, everyone. There we go, about 1,000 pounds per square inch. And apparently, I'm just getting this information from Kirsten in the final control, one of the weakest bites of any of the big cats. Now he's in amongst this grass here, can't see him obviously. And I'm just trying to measure the distance. What I'm going to do is sit up on my door and peer into the tawny lion-coloured grass. Now what, Steph? Sorry, you've asked something about 1,000 psi. I missed it. Kakaya, who's our game guard, has spotted the lion in there somewhere. Have you got him there, Vian? And what, Steph, you say you can confirm that a lion's bite is 1,000 psi. Thank you very much. That is pounds per square inch, so that's the amount of pressure applied per inch. I don't know what it is in the metric system. I should, because it's, I operate in metric normally. So I'm not sure what 3,700 pounds per square inch is in kilograms per square meter. Let me just get out of your way. Hey, can you see him? Okay. What we can try and do, Kakaya is just suggesting that we move around the back of him and see. I'm prepared to go with that recommendation, just in case. Just in case we... Ooh. You see, the best spot to be for a kill like this, or a hunt like this, is behind the prey so that you can see it actually happening. But in this case, we can't see where the lion is. So let's just sneak through here. And of course, being around the backside of the zebra is the most difficult spot to be, because you can influence the hunt much more easily from there, and you don't want to do that. The zebra have started grazing now. The wind is coming up. You see him, Vim? You got him? Oh, there he is. Terry, you're wondering how fast a lion can run and how fast the zebra is. Terry, a zebra can probably run at around about, well, certainly probably close to 80 kilometers per hour or 70 kilometers per hour. You'll find a lion not much slower than that. Oof, this is getting close. Yeah, I'm going to switch off here. You see him there? He's straight in front of us now, everyone. He's moving up. Now, the one at the back is watching. He's using the termite mound now as cover. There he's going across the road. There, look at that. Oh, this is wonderful. This is incredible. Go, boy. Look at him kick. How fantastic was that? That was the stallion. Stupid lion. He picked completely the wrong animal to go for. That was the stallion. And you saw how immensely fast he was as he got out the blocks there. Now, a racehorse will run at about 75 kilometers an hour, sometimes up to 80. I've heard that lions can run that fast. I don't think you'll find that a lion in a sort of, well, let's say 400-meter race, quarter-mile race could keep up with a zebra. But over a very short distance, yes, quite possibly. Wasn't that spectacular? Just brilliant stuff. All right, everyone on Facebook, we will keep you posted. We're going to stay with this lion, possibly into the night, and we'll see what he does. He was quite full. I didn't think he was going to hunt, but now I think we will sit with him because clearly he's quite interested in food. We'll see you next time around. And for the rest of you, we're going to go across to Tamba with Tristan.
Well, little Tumba, as we suspected, might be a bit thirsty and has now come and had a little drink from Twin Dams. I wonder where he's going to go from here. He was facing southwards and then he decided just to come down the dam wall, and you can see now he's having a really nice drink on the edge of the water. And he's been watching some of the terrapins as well, and I think he's a little bit unsure as to where he actually wants to go from here, but it looks like he might go back up towards the dam wall. It's quite a common characteristic of younger leopards. They often like to use height and to be able to see, so from the termite mound to now up on the dam wall itself to be able to see what's going on. So I'm going to just quickly reposition ourselves so that we can see what's happening. But look how oh, that's quite cool. He flattened his ears just to look over the dam wall itself. So he had his ears down and he was just watching what was going on the other side. There we go. Now he's decided he's going to carry on. I'm just going to try and see if I can't get onto the other side of the dam wall, and then hopefully we'll have his little face peering over. He's such a beautiful leopard that if we can get the front of his face, that will be absolutely perfect. So let's see what we can do. I'm sure we can. It's just going to require a little bit of ingenuity on our behalf and a bit of maneuvering to try and see. Now, I don't want to stop this side because of the light, so I'm going to try and see if I can just get around a little bit here. Let's see, if we go and we park right here, it should be absolutely perfect. How's that, Craig? I think Craig should get a good view on that. Look at that, isn't that beautiful? Now, I was saying earlier that being eye level with elephants is one thing, but being eye level with a leopard is extra special. So we are being spoilt by little Tumba today, as normal with him though. He is an individual that does spoil us. Look at this, he's coming straight towards us. Isn't this cool? You can see he's a little bit unsure about all these thorn trees. You went the wrong way, boy. There was a nice big open gap for you. Look at that. Is that not magnificent? And you can see the back of the car. Hello, boy. And he has such a beautiful golden mane. Now, hopefully he's going to stay still. Now, Craig's just trying to move as slowly as possible because he doesn't want to scare our little boy. There he goes. Kimberly, you're wondering how big Tumba will get. Well, Kimberly, it's never an exact science. We don't know for sure how big he'll be. I can tell you that he is going to be quite a large boy. I would imagine he's going to take after his dad, who we think is Tingana. He's got that same bulky appearance. He's already developing quite a deep chest area and a big head, and he's got massive feet for his age. So I would imagine that he's going to be quite a large individual, but difficult to say. Look, you see now he's seen the Franklins, so he's going into stalk mode with the Franklins. Let me just reposition us here, Craig, because the Franklins are there. They're running the wrong way. So I'm just going to try and get a little bit of a different area quickly, just so that the Franklins, we can see them if they go towards him, and we can actually watch his expressions, because it's always so great when you see leopards hunting. Their facial expressions are priceless. So I'm just going to try and see if I can't get us just here. Now, the Franklins themselves are busy running around all over the place. They're both in front of us and behind us, so we'll be able to see perfectly from here. There we go, Craig. That should be a nice gap on his face. There we go. So you see how clever he is already. Even though he's a young individual, he's using those tree stumps, which is not very much cover, but because he's right out in the open, those at least provide some sort of fraction of cover that he can use, and then he can be able to start stalking towards Franklins. A young leopard of his age is going to be feeding off Franklins quite predominantly at this sort of time. He's going to learn to hunt on them, he's going to run at them, he's going to stalk them, and that's all going to stand him in good stead for later in life, when he's now going to start hunting things like impalas. That fleet-footedness that he's going to have to practice to get hold of something like a Franklin is going to be very helpful when he targets the small mammals like duiker, steenbok, and varying others. I think the Franklins have moved off, and that's why little Tumba has stopped really going into a stalking pose. You can see he's got his head up now, and he's just watching what's going on and watching the coming and going of the vehicles that are in the area. Bobby, you're wondering if leopards can have the same spot and ID patterns. Well, Bobby, no. So each leopard has a unique spot pattern. So whether it be the spots over the whiskers or the spots around the eyes, you might find two leopards that have a 3-3 spot pattern, but the arrangement of those 3 spots on either side of the face will be unique to that leopard. So they'll never be exactly the same. And there's a francolin that's actually running straight towards him. Look, here comes the francolin. I don't think the francolin has seen him. There it goes, across the road. Is he going to pounce on it? No, he's a bit unsure of all of this now. Look at the tail. Now the francolin, I think, has seen him. Look, he's growling at the francolin. So he's been spotted and the francolin's alarm calling. He's now growling at the francolin to tell the francolin to keep quiet. You silly boy. And you can see the whiskers going up every now and then. What are you doing? Yes, tell that francolin to go away. So you can see he's been spotted, and the francolin making that noise means that he's lifted his head now. He's no longer hidden, and therefore he's telling the francolin, I'm here, you've seen me, I'm going to try and now sort of not stalk you anymore and stop squeaking at me and leave me alone. I wouldn't be surprised if he actually gets up and moves now, because at the end of the day, now that he's been spotted and the francolin's making noise, that gives his position away, and I'm pretty sure he's going to want to move. There we go. He's now moving towards us. Isn't that beautiful? Seems like he likes the back of our car. He keeps walking right near it, and I think he might just head into a little area just behind us that we know that Husana and Shungile love as well. And he might go into there for a bit of shade, because it's still quite warm this afternoon now that the sun has come out, as well as it's really good cover. So he'll stop all of these vehicles and francolins and all of those kind of things really getting too close to him. He can get into a thicket like this, and it will be the perfect camouflage for him to be able to then hide away. I don't think he's going to move too much once he gets into a thicket. I think he's going to try and sit there and watch what's going on. I don't think he'll move. There we go. Let's see where he goes from there. I think this is where he's probably going to end up settling, and we'll try and see. There we go. I think into that thicket and lie down. That's where I reckon he's going to spend his afternoon. So while we try and see where little Tumba goes, I believe Brent's lions have stopped fornicating and are now moving around and are, sounds like, on a stalk mode. Now I believe Brent is still got a few gremlins, so instead we're going to go to Tara, who's now waging in on the predator afternoon and has got predators of her own, which is fantastic, because I think this is the first time that we've had 5 different vehicles, all with cats.
Yeah, how exciting is this? And just like buses, you're waiting for a bus and then all of a sudden 3 come along, or in this case 5. So we have 2 of the Birmingham boys chilling in the afternoon sun, but their bellies don't look that full, so I'm thinking these boys might get up and move at some stage. It looks like they may have had something small. The male on the right has a slightly bigger belly than the other brother, but it's still not as full as what it can be. You can still see it does go in towards the back legs, whereas if they're nice and full, it looks like a huge balloon. It looks very uncomfortable. It definitely looks like there's room for more in there. But they are flat out. They're getting a little bit irritated by flies, certainly the brother on the right. So again, if they get irritated enough, they might just stand up, and that's the beauty of cats. If you are willing to be patient, you might just see some movement or interesting behaviour from them. Now I understand that this is part of quite a large coalition, and I remember when I was here last, we were hearing about the Birmingham boys coming in from the Manuletti, which is north of where we are in Juma Game Reserve, but we were hearing it was going to be quite a large coalition, unheard of really, about 8 or 9 males, but I think that never materialised. I think perhaps 6 came down in the end, but I think they are 1 short now. So they are the big boys now in the area. I think they chased off the Majingi lions. I haven't really heard about them. So they are the main boys in this area. So I think there was a question coming in from John. Hopefully I've got the name right. And John, good afternoon. And John wanting to know if the manes of the lion makes them more open or more visible to prey. And they can do to a certain extent, but generally speaking, if the males are actually hunting at night under the cover of darkness, that's not going to make too much of an issue. It's when they're hungry and they're actually out when it's overcast like this, if they do try and hunt, then it could make them a little bit more visible, but not to a huge degree. If they play the cards right, they can still stay very well hidden. But of course, it's the bulk of their bodies that really help when it comes to hunting. And we did get asked a little while ago if males actually initiate the hunt. And generally speaking, most of us haven't seen a male initiate a hunt, but apparently Taylor has with the Charleston Pride, which is found, the Charleston Coalition, who they're found about, well, a few kilometres south of here. And she has seen the males initiating a hunt, but generally speaking, if they're with the females, the males can help, well, they can conserve their energy, the females can hunt. And if there's any other males in the area, that means the males still have the energy for defending that pride against any intruders. But as I say, males are actually very good hunters in their own right, and they can get involved in the hunt, especially if it's a buffalo, lending their weight to that if needed. And we've even seen the males hunt by themselves, even 2 males hunting a buffalo by themselves. So, by the power of technology, we are going from male lions here in South Africa over to Kenya with James, who also has some male lions for you. Absolutely amazing.
It is rather amazing, I must confess. There are lions everywhere. We've got leopard. It really is rather, as Sundi says, a meow Monday indeed. Now, before we continue to talk about what this male lion is likely to do with his evening, I must just address a comment from River, aged 9, who said that he was very cross with me because I said the lion was stupid. River, I apologise profusely. The lion is not stupid, but I thought that he looked a little bit stupid because he sat like this. Don't I look stupid? See, that's why. He's not stupid, he's just as clever as all the other lions in the world, and while I cannot profess to think that they are enormous intellectual giants of our time, fear not, I do not believe him to be any more stupid than any other lion. Now, you see, he's put his tongue away, he doesn't look stupid at all. Now, I'm not sure if you can hear, but way in the distance we can hear the gnuing of the gnus. And I'm going to see if VM can't get you a picture of them all there. And as he does that, I'm going to say to you that I think there was a very interesting thing that happened during that little hunt sequence there. And the interesting thing for me, as we watch the gnus, is that I believe he did use the wind. And I have been very suspicious, and I've read various bits and pieces that will tell you the lions don't use the wind, or that it's difficult, they're unequivocal conclusions as to whether lions use the wind to hunt or not. I think he did use the wind there, and the zebra that came this way towards him, they were coming with the wind, of course, they were further away when he started stalking them than the much larger group that came past with much younger animals in it. So I think that he used the wind to try and catch those zebra there, but I'm not sure. There are various conflicting reports over whether or not zebra will try, at least not zebra, whether lions will try and use the wind to their advantage. They obviously don't all the time, otherwise they'd be walking in one direction most of the time, wouldn't they? So I think as the night falls, I think he's going to slowly make his way towards those herds. Hello, Daniel in Scotland. You're wondering if lions are one species or if there are different kinds of lions. Daniel, they are absolutely one species. They are all Panthera leo, but depending on who you talk to, there will be different subspecies of lions. And some people will tell you that the lion up here in East Africa is a different subspecies of lion from the one that you've been looking at down in South Africa. But I think that others will tell you that isn't the case. So I'm looking here and it says traditionally 12 subspecies of lion were recognized, but that's not really a true reflection apparently. As genetics gets used more and more extensively in taxonomy, which is of course the classification of animals, we find that the distinctions that have been made on a subspecies level are often sort of destroyed or increased. So sometimes you'll find more subspecies suddenly, and sometimes you'll find fewer. So some will tell you that this is a different subspecies from the one in southern Africa. Some will tell you it's not. The only certainty seems to be that the Asiatic lion of the Gir forest in India might be is almost certainly a different subspecies. Now, where this fellow's going, I cannot begin to tell you, but I'm going to follow him. And while I follow him, I believe Brent's lionesses are getting hungry.
Here we go. This is actually a different lioness. So this is lioness number 6. And we're just in a section of long grass above her. The wildebeest are all behind us, and I'm just trying to towards us. There we go. She's looking straight almost towards us, and of course that's where the herds are. There's a little gully that she can use to get close with long grass in it. So we're staying quite far away, as you can see, trying to predict where she's going to go rather than sticking behind her. So you can see she's still keeping her head low. She's heading towards... Sorry about that, folks. We are live from the middle of the African bush, and we're with a lion stalking wildebeest. There you go. She's hungry, not starving by any means, but definitely hungry. Michael's wondering, how do lions learn to pick out an animal to hunt? Michael, I don't believe they learn it at all. I think it's all instinctive. I think that killer instinct is inbred in them. Now, is she going to go another way? You're supposed to come straight towards us, madam. She's just looking for a wildebeest that's maybe a little bit further from the herd. The herd are up on a little ledge where there's a bit longer grass. And where's she gone? She's gone behind the termite mounds. There she is. So there are some nice little sort of depressions and stuff she can use to get closer to the herd. As she disappears, I'm going to get Money to pan across here quickly. and just show you this mass wall of wildebeest we've got all around us. So there we go. You can see that's just wildebeest, 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 wildebeest all around. Full 180. There she is. She's actually covered quite a bit of ground in that little pan over the wildebeest. Have you got her? She's right here next to us. There we go. Now, as I said, she's using these little gullies to get closer and closer to the wildebeest that are just behind us. I'm going to just reverse slightly. Okay, we're going to get into a better position. While we do that, let's go across to James.
Right, everyone, the mystery of why his belly is full has been solved. He's got a carcass here. It's a young wildebeest, and from the smell of it, it's not fresh. And he's obviously after some sort of fresh meat if he can get it. We're going to sit here and watch and just see if he actually settles down to feed here or if he carries on moving. But interestingly, he does have a carcass and he has been hunting and will hunt again, I think. It just depends if that enormous sort of blackening mass, the entire hillside off to the left-hand side of where we're sitting, is now turning black with wildebeest. It would be interesting to know whether or not he's going to try and eat one of those things. If I were him, I would, of course. There we go. And in fact, he's playing with this wildebeest now. If we go back to him, I'm just going to move slightly, see if we can't get a look. But what he does is he keeps flinging it around. Yeah, this is not a fresh kill. It's really pretty smelly. Misha, you said how much lion can one... no, you didn't. You said how much meat can one lion eat in one sitting? Well, he probably weighs in the region of 120 kilograms, and word on the street is that a lion can eat up to 10% of his body mass, 20% of his body mass in one sitting. So, well, at 120 kilograms, that means he's going to be able to eat 20 kilograms of meat, which is quite a lot. That's about 44 pounds of meat in one sitting. See, he's making very little effort to actually eat that thing. He's now just playing. It's a little bit morbid, really. Yes. Go and get a new one. I always feel bad when I say that, because why should I wish ill of any of the hundreds of thousands of wildebeest that I've seen? They too are individuals, each of them just like this lion is. Why should I hope for their demise? Perhaps I shouldn't. Now, Jacob, you're wondering if all adult males have got manes and if sometimes females can have manes. I'm going to suggest you ask the former question to Brent Leo Smith the next time you see him. He will then launch into a treatise on the man-eating lions of Tsavo. That's his favourite story in the world. And they were maneless lions. So those were male lions that terrorised a whole lot of railway workers in Tsavo in, I think it was the late 1800s, if I'm not mistaken. And they were maneless male lions. So yes, it does happen from time to time, in the same way that some men do not have beards, so some lions do not have manes. Now, on the other side of the coin, do some females get manes? Yes, but not big full black manes like a male, often like this chap's got here. So you will sometimes see females with a mane sort of like he's got there. It's very unusual. Well, about as common as finding a bearded lady, if you like. And so while it can happen in human beings, so too it can happen with things like these lions. And And I imagine it's just a slight, altering of the hormonal balance. Perhaps a bit more testosterone causes a bit more hair growth and that sort of thing. But it does happen, but it's not common. This is definitely a young male as opposed to a maned female. He's certainly not eating yet. He may just have settled down to have a bite to eat. I'm afraid I can't really move the car anymore. So we'll wait and see what he does, but Brent's lions are still on the hunt and he's found some more signal.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. And our lioness is using those gullies to get really, really close to the wildebeest now. And you should be able to hear them. We've just lost sight of it. Let's just move forward slightly. So as we predicted, she's using that long grass cover with a slight depression to move much closer to the wildebeest. Oh, I found a big termite mound. Hold on. There we go. I'm so busy concentrating. There's that her there. So now let's just have a quick look. She was right in that gully. We should see her shortly. So that big termite mound, just a little bit to the left of it. Let's come out a bit. A little bit to the right. In that little bit more to the right. Last place I saw was just in front of that. I better keep an eye out a bit further forward. You never know, she might suddenly explode out of the grass. Alex, who's 8 years old, would like to know what would we do if a predator used our vehicle to their advantage. Well, Alex, that's one of the reasons we try and not stay too close, and we position our vehicles very carefully around hunts, so we don't give advantage to predator or prey. But it does happen from time to time, inadvertently normally, that you might benefit one or the other. Of course, we try not to do that. We try keep into the correct spots and to give nature a chance to play its story out. Okay, I've lost sight of her now. I'm just going to try and move again. Going to make sure she hasn't slipped closer to the wildebeest, and we're looking behind where she is. Now, the other thing is she might have changed direction. There's another herd of wildebeest coming towards us. I don't know if she's heard them or maybe she's seen them. There's a lovely... Oh my goodness, is that her? No, that's not her. Oh, what is that? Is that an oribi? I think this might be a new animal species for a lot of our viewers. To the right of that wildebeest, there's a tiny little antelope. There we go. Right. There we go. Oh, we went behind termite mound. There's an oribi antelope. It's only the second time I've seen them. Let me just get up on high. Probably pop out shortly. Let's go up. Hopefully no holes in the... Okay. So wait, let me just go forward a tiny little bit more so Manu doesn't have such a challenge. Let's get us nice and level here. Now, I've lost sight of this lion in this long grass here somewhere, but she is definitely here. Last place we saw her was right here. Now, there's a herd of wildebeest walking that way. There's wildebeest all around us, so I think we're in the best spot to just sit and watch and hopefully get a view of her. And I'm hoping that little oribi antelope makes an appearance, because I think that would be a new antelope species for a lot of our Safari Live viewers. Sorry, we apologise for the black screens, but we are coming to you live on the border of Kenya and Tanzania. Where could this lioness have gone? There you can see, we've got wildies everywhere. And we have lost sight of her in the long grass.
Sorry about that, everybody. I'm not sure where Brent is. He is in obviously a slightly difficult signal area. This lion is now sort of starting to feed. I'm going to sit with him probably for another 25 minutes, or I'm not sure why I said 25 minutes. It may as well be half an hour. And then we'll probably go and see if we can't find some others. Because if he does settle in for a meal, well, I don't know, you could easily get up and hunt again as it gets dark, because there is a lot of food around. Now, you may have noticed that I put my woolly hat on now, because it's got a little bit chilly out here. It's probably only around 61 degrees Fahrenheit or so, 16 degrees Celsius. Tara has managed to find a much larger male than this one.
Well, I wonder if these lions are dreaming of the wildebeest that lions in Mara have caught. We haven't had much movement from them, but I think they're catching the last rays of the sun. And I wouldn't be surprised if they do get up soon. We're hoping we might even hear them calling. That would be amazing, because the rest of their coalition is not here by the looks of it. It's just these two boys. And unfortunately, this is how previous coalitions have lost their hold on this area. So there was another big coalition. Now, huge coalitions of 6 are really quite unheard of, but they seem to be getting that way in the Sabi Sands over the last few years. And the Mapokos were numbering 6 at one stage, and then they started going off in 2s and 3s, and the other coalitions in the area started picking them off one by one. And that's how the Majingilans came in, and they also numbered 6, and they had quite a huge clash with the Mapokos. They took out one of the male lions, and the Mapokos retaliated and took out one of the Majingilans. So they're actually doing what they really shouldn't be doing. They should actually be keeping together to hold on to their territory. But it doesn't sound like there's a lot of male lions in the area. So their tenure should be safe for now, but it does switch over quite rapidly if they're not careful. So it is a numbers game at the end of the day. So obviously a coalition of 6 is going to be able to defend against lower numbers of male lions. And that means that they can actually father more cubs in the area and keep those cubs safe and through to adulthood. Because if another coalition come in, they can and do kill young cubs. Hi Kimberly, welcome on board this afternoon. Kimberly wanting to know if these brothers will stay together for life. And yes, unless something major happens, they will stay together. But as I say, if they're not careful and they get picked off by other lions, then they could be chased out of the area and maybe be forced to become a nomadic male, or maybe be forced to team up with another male. You're welcome to pull in. But look at those impressive canines. They really are so well equipped. The canine teeth. They're going to have the shearing teeth as well, the carnassial pair. So that is the molar and premolar on the upper and lower jaw. And that's going to be used for when they're actually trying to shear the meat from the bone. And then obviously the huge claws on those massive paws. I don't know if we moved to the lion. It's crossing their legs, and we can see the paws. Look at that. absolute pure African power. Incredible. So I believe Brent has a female lion for you to see. I wonder what she's going to be up to. It'd be interesting to find out.
Well, we're with that. She's in the perfect spot. They're moving. They're moving towards the long grass, moving closer to her. So she is in the ideal spot now. And we followed her for over 2 kilometers now. And could this be fruition to all the stalking and sneaking around quite far away from the wildebeest, looking for the right place to make an approach on the herd? So we managed to stay quite far away from her. As you can see, we don't want to disturb either way. She's more intently focused on the animals directly in front of her. There's more long grass, but she might change her plan. But she's going to have to make a move quite soon, otherwise all these wildies will be into the short grass and a little bit more difficult to catch. Come on, girlie. She might be waiting to see a little bit of weakness, a bit of a limp. Something that shows that wildebeest might be a little bit easier. There we go, she's on the move. Down again. She's getting very close to that critical distance, that striking distance. Now, lions like to be about 20. Okay, now. There's still the majority of that wildebeest herd. It's not a very big one, not a very long line of them. The wind is perfect going from them to her. She's got cover. And at the moment, the wildebeest are oblivious to her presence. I wonder what she's waiting for. I always, in these moments, wonder exactly what's going through a lion's mind. Hi, Vanessa. Vanessa wants to know what my favorite part of the hunt is. Vanessa, I'd say this part, the build-up and the charge. And to see how incredibly fast these animals can move and with what stealth they can move. It's all the anticipation of what might happen, and it's definitely my favorite part of the hunt. You can hear a yellow-throated longclaw calling away. Ooh. And she spotted something. She might have seen something that has piqued her interest slightly. Is there a wildebeest with a little limp? She's getting really, really close now. There we go. She's quite a young lioness. Maybe a little bit of inexperience at play here. Hi, Debbie. Debbie's in Vancouver. Debbie wants to know, since she's hunting alone, could her hunting technique maybe change a bit? Most definitely, Debbie. Now, if there were a couple of more lionesses here, it would probably be a little bit easier. Now, the one lioness is being kept busy by the male, and the others looked like they had fed, so she might have missed out, being a bit smaller, a bit younger, and the rest of them noshing down earlier today or last night. That is causing her to go on the hunt by herself. Now, of course, patience is very important in these situations. Now, some of them might move in front of us, the others are walking past to the right of us, between us and her, but she seems intently focused on one that is up ahead. I think she might have been waiting for all of them to come off the high ground, off the termite mounds. They all are off the termite mounds now. There is a young one that looks like it might move a little bit closer to her than the others. But she's not focusing on that. She's seen something else. There's something else holding her interest in that other group of wildebeest. She does the occasional glance to these ones between us. There we go. They still haven't the foggiest that she's there. She might be looking for a young one. No. Riti's wondering, why do they think so much before attacking? Well, Riti, she's probably tried a few times and failed today, so she's being a little bit more cautious on the stalk. And she might be so cautious they're all going to be past her soon. And sorry, our rangers... Another lion. Our ranger spotted another, very far in the distance. I'll show you where it is later. Let's just stick on her now. There's a male lion, but probably a kilometer from us, walking through the salt lick. Nancy's wondering, how does the lion see anything in that long grass? Now, Nancy, lions don't see like we do. So, and she's picking up movement, and that's what she's watching. She's watching the movement of the animals, and they don't see in particularly fine detail like we do. And but she'll notice things that we definitely don't, slight limps and things like that we probably don't even see at all. But I think she might be waiting too long. All the wildebeest might be past her soon. Oh, the whole pride is coming in, actually, so I'll keep an eye on her money. If you have a look in that salt lick, in that open area where we were a bit earlier, down a little bit to the right, there we go, a little bit to the left, in that big open area, there we go, center frame. You can see a little bit to the left, there we go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lions, males, females. Okay, well, we know where we're going if she fails. And she's still intently focused on possibly an individual wildebeest. I think she might have left it too long. They might all get past the long grass before she gets a chance. Lady Starfire is wondering how often do lionesses hunt solo versus with the pride. I think during the migration it happens quite often, especially because there's such a huge amount of food around. But normally it all depends. They often get split up while mating, so I would say it probably happens. I thought I saw what she might see a little bit earlier ago. I think I saw a limping wildebeest. And he's in amongst the other wildebeest. They're quite difficult to get to. Bushbuck. Yes, a little bushbuck just scuttled past us, but we're going to stick on the line for now. Eric, I agree with you 100%. The wildebeest for me also sound like a bunch of loud frogs or toads. Oh, I don't know. Has she left it too late? Well, there'll definitely be another opportunity after this if she doesn't succeed, and maybe she'll join up with the rest of the pride, and that will definitely increase her chances. But let's just wait to see what happens here. Lynn, you're spot on. I also agree with you. She needs to be closer. She probably needs to be 10 meters closer before heading off on that burst. I think she might change her plan. She might come back up towards the right. She seems to have failed to spot the little one that's walking past us. It's not looking too well. There we go, coming now. Yeah, not looking too healthy, that youngster. Oh, maybe she did spot that. Now this is the last of the line coming through now. She's going to have to make her move or try again later. Yeah, well, Nyla says perfect camouflage from the lion. Indeed, it is incredible how they blend into that long grass. Oh, the sound is incredible. I mean, we are completely now surrounded by wildebeest. Okay, let's just give her a little bit longer. There's only a few wildebeest left that have to cross past the front of her and see if I think she has, unfortunately, left it a little bit too late. And Vanessa agreeing with me that anticipation is her favourite part of the hunt, like mine. Well, the wildies have managed to scoot past her, but she's going to get another chance if we look slightly to the right. If we come out a little bit, there we go, and we just keep coming to the right. As you can see, there's a black wall coming there. She's definitely going to get another chance some point this evening or this afternoon. But in the meantime, let's go back to Jamesy and his lion.
Well, not quite a lion. The lion is still here, but we just spotted a black-shouldered kite hovering in this what is now northwesterly wind. And what it's doing, I haven't told you this for a long time, is it's looking for the ultraviolet that is reflecting off the uric acid that comes off a rodent's urine trail. So when the rodents run around in the grassland, they urinate as they go to mark their territory. That reflects ultraviolet light, and that very clever bird, the black-shouldered kite, is able to see the ultraviolet light, and that is how it traces and trails the rodents that it's going to catch. Isn't that clever? And it's one of the very few birds or very few raptors that is able to hover like that. And often they have to flap their wings to hover, but because the wind is quite strong and quite consistent from the northwest there, every time he turns into the wind he's actually able to just hang like he's doing there. That's unusual. Just the odd flap. Isn't that brilliant? He's really high up. I mean, to be able to see any kind of rodent from that sort of distance up in the sky is quite a feat. And I will tell you while you look at the bird, because I think the bird is slightly more impressive than the lion at this stage. Our lion did actually have a kill. He found the carcass that he'd been feeding on, and he gave a sort of a perfunctory bite at it every so often. Oh, you saw that, of course. And then he left it again, and now he's sitting straight back on the termite mound where we very first saw him. He's got a little bit of blood on his face, and I thought we might leave him, but I actually think that as it gets darker, well, I don't know, every time I think that we might leave him, he gets up and does something. We might leave him as it gets dark and head down and see if we can't find some other lions, but I think for now let's stay with him, just in case he gets up and does something useful again. Because I think if the opportunity presents itself, he will almost certainly kill, or try to. All right, the sun has gone down below the Olulolo escarpment here at the moment, but Tristan's sun down south has not, and he'd like to show you it on its way.
Well, we're sitting and admiring the last few rays of sun here at Djuma. I think after this, unfortunately, with the big bank of cloud that's sitting on top of the Drakensberg Mountains, that's going to be it. And I was saying to Craig that our branch almost looks like the head of a guinea fowl, which Craig thought was quite funny, but it's just got that little head there and its beak that's coming down, and at one point the sun was at a little bit of a different angle and almost looked like the bird was pecking at the sun. So you can see its little crest on the top of the tree there, and then the rounded head. There we go. That's our little bird that's pecking away at the sun. Very thin neck, unfortunately. I suppose it's got no feathers on its neck, and that's why it looks a bit odd. But I think if you built a body around that, it would look a bit bird-like. Or you could even get a little bit the shape of Africa out of that, if you turned it a little bit sideways. Anyway, that's unfortunately the last rays of sun, but it is a beautiful sunset, and I'm sure the colours are going to be spectacular a little bit later when all of this that's up there sort of gets pink and it picks up that sun as it goes down behind the mountains. It's going to be spectacular. It's not bad, it's already. Now we're up near sort of Buffelshoek boundary, Sydney's Dam area, because there was reports of some buffalo around here, and I know that the Nkuhumas are somewhere in the western side, so I was thinking, you never know, maybe they've decided to get up and start moving, and they've come towards this area, so I'm just having a little sneaky look to see. Also, it's always a good place to look for Mvula, and I have no idea where Shongile, Hosanna, or Shadow, or any of them have been, so I'm just exploring and seeing where things are and what's been going on and what trucks have been moving around, just familiarizing myself with what's been happening over the last few days. Now hopefully the gremlins won't come out, because we are like I say, heading towards Sydney's Dam, and sometimes that can be a little bit of a fickle place when it comes to gremlin behavior, so I'm hoping that they're going to behave themselves while I get towards the dam and see what's happening at the dam itself. It seems as though our hyenas have been busy though. Their tracks are everywhere. They're going up and down on this fire break. I would imagine they're going back to the den, and I hope that little Intima is doing well. It's been a while since I've seen the two of them. Well, Ribbon and Intima, should I say. So I'm quite keen to go and see the den. I know Tara was there earlier, so I'm really looking forward to spending some time there a little bit later this week. I'm sure I will spend lots of time actually over the next few weeks. Now, I believe Tara is still sitting with those two beautiful Birmingham boys, and now's the time that they should slowly be starting to wake up. So let's go and have a look and see whether or not they've decided to stir.
Well, the sun is slowly setting over the African continent, and the evening chorus will be coming to a close very soon. It is just absolutely breathtaking being here in the African bush with the top predator in Africa. We still haven't seen much movement from them, so I'm just watching to see if they start yawning, which means they're trying to get a lot of oxygen into their body so it can oxygenate their muscles, and it'll be ready for looking for anything to fill their bellies. We have had a few stretches, a few shuffles, but still very much out for the count. So I do believe there's actually 4 Birmingham boys left, not 5. Hi Sharon, interesting question. So is the coalition open to new members to build up their numbers again? Generally speaking, I've not heard of unrelated males joining a large group, but I have heard and have seen unrelated males when there may be one or so banding together to at least have some company and obviously some help in the hunting. So it'd be interesting to hear other thoughts, especially from the Mara, where they obviously do have quite large coalitions as well, to see if they've actually experienced that. It'd be really interesting to find out from them, because as I say, what can be true for animals in one area can be different for animals in another area, because there's so many different factors that will influence the changes and the adaptations in behaviour. And it's all to do with the survival in that area. Now you can see the male on the right is slightly paler in the mane than the male on the left. Hi Megan, and this actually feeds right into your question if males actually fight each other within the coalition. And they don't generally, because they are brothers. And generally they're going to be sharing the same genes. So when it comes to mating, whoever gets to the female first and she accepts him, it tends to be sort of accepted. There may be a little bit of a spat, but nothing too major, and over kills as well. But just as I was about to say, you can see the male on the right, his mane is slightly paler than the male on the left. Now that's a sign of dominance, so there is still a hierarchy within the male coalition. You've got the alpha male, then the beta male, and so on, depending on how many there are in the coalition. So the darkness of the mane is actually controlled, they believe, by testosterone levels. So the more testosterone they have, the more aggressive they can be, but also the fitter they can show themselves. So that dark mane shows that he's got a lot more testosterone than his brother. So I'd say he's the more dominant of the two, and he's going to be more attractive to the females, so they're more likely to choose him over his brother. Now, the condition of the mane can also change between seasons, between areas. So the the hotter areas, they tend to have shorter manes and paler manes, because that can actually help with the regulating the temperature. So the dark manes will also absorb a lot of heat, and it will stop heat escaping from the body as well. So if they're able to actually have a very long dark mane, that again shows the females, you know what, I can actually withstand very hot temperatures, and I'm still here, I'm still surviving. So if you want to mate with me, then I'm going to have very strong cubs with you. And that's what it's all about. It's literally showing how fit you are and making that well known. And that the mane can also be affected by injury and disease. So if they're not well, if they are injured and they're not getting enough nutrients, their mane can be reduced or even fall out. So it really does help to show how fit they are and become more attractive to the females. Now, one of the best sounds that you can ever hear in the bush is the males roaring. And if you are lucky enough to actually have them right next to your vehicle, you actually feel the vehicle vibrate and your whole body vibrate. It is really something very, very special. I'm really hoping we'll be able to share that with you. Keep your fingers crossed. But I believe Brent still has the Lioness, so I think it's worth checking up to see what she's up to, seeing as our boys don't look like they're going anywhere anytime soon.
Well, she has pretty much given up on the hunt now. She's been doing a bit of grooming. She's still keeping a beady eye on the wildebeests, but they're all quite far from her now. I think she might have another attempt a little bit later. And so the rest of her pride are far, well, not that far away, but down in the depression ahead of us. Then a little bit to the left. There we go. There's a muddy lioness walking to the right. Obviously had a fall into the mud, but heading in this direction, so who knows, she might get some reinforcements. Now, Gail's wondering, how much do lions move at night? Well, Gail, it completely depends on the day, how hungry they are, if they're being chased by males. So they can move. Male lions especially can move big distances. A male lion can move up to about 20 kilometers in an evening, but it's very seldom that they move that far. Normally 5 to 10 kilometers in an evening would be a safe bet. So I think we're going to sit here and see if these girls head up towards where we are waiting with the missing member of the pride. While we do that, let's go see what James's male lion is thinking about.
I have no idea what he's thinking at all. I suspect very little. I don't think they give great consideration to the complexities of the universe and the reasons for our being here as living organisms. I think he just thinks, well, I wonder where my next wildebeest meal is going to come from. And if he was thinking straight, well, he'd know exactly where it was coming from. Probably from the 5,000 or 6,000 of them sitting on the hill opposite. Ooh, where did you spot those? Very nice for him. Impalas. So I don't think he's going to... Well, I mean, they will be a little bit too nimble-footed, I think, for him. I'm trying to decide if, after the show, or if after dark, we should move on and see if we can't find another lion. I just suspect that he might get up and hunt something. But he might not. Lovely pictures there. And imagine how terrifying it must be to be walking through the grass when it is almost the height of your head, knowing that there are lions, leopards, cheetahs, hyenas around, and you cannot see them, for they are too well camouflaged, and you can't see over the grass. It's one of the reasons we as a species were so successful in this area, because we could see over the top. Samantha, you're wondering if lions can lose their teeth? Well, absolutely. If you punch one in the nose hard enough, its teeth will come out, and they will not be replaced. That is obviously quite a facetious answer. They do lose their teeth from time to time, Samantha, but they are not replaced. They're just like us. If you knock a lion's tooth out, or if he breaks it chewing on a bone too hard, or perhaps he doesn't brush his teeth properly and after too many toffees gets a cavity and the tooth rots out, it will not be replaced. And yes, absolutely, it can affect them quite badly. But, you know, to lose one or two of their canines, they're normally okay. I mean, there are many lions around with broken off canines or with a missing canine completely. And certainly as they get older, they get very blunt, those canines, and it becomes very difficult for them to be effective as hunting weapons. But it's really not that impossible for them at all. If they were to lose all of their canines, it'd be very difficult. We have more zebra heading up this way. Totally oblivious to the presence of our rather corpulent young teenager. So, I mean, they're still quite a long way off. And they're moving, in fact, exactly along the same line that the first group of zebra were moving along. I'm just looking at them now with my binoculars. Gosh, it is amazing. Every time I look through my binoculars, I'm amazed again by the amount of space that there is here. Look at them moving there, and you can imagine if I was a zebra, I'd be terrified, because you know that there could be anything, and I suspect that's why they use the same paths. I'm sure they can smell that along that path came a whole lot more zebra earlier today, and as long as they don't trip over its carcass, they must know that they are probably relatively lion-free. Then, Wiem, I wonder, can I ask you to go zooming way out onto the hill beyond, right there? And what you can see there on the top, can you see on the top there, everybody? That is another giant herd of wildebeest, probably, I'm going to say 5 miles away. A long, long way. Philip, you're wondering about lions' colour vision and if they can see in colour. No, they cannot see in colour like you and I can, or like the lilac-breasted roller can. Their colour vision is poor, but apparently they do not see in black and white. They see in red and green, apparently. Those are the two hues that they see in, and I think that's one of the reasons you'll find that something like an impala, which to our eyes looks so very obvious, that sort of russety colour, to a lion and a leopard and a hyena, much less obvious, much more easy for them to hide. He's quite sleepy, but he's not very restful, and I'm still thinking that he's going to get up and go hunting a little bit later. He's now spotted those zebra, but the wind is wrong for him, and I think it's very interesting that he used the wind earlier to his advantage. He's just looking at them. Isn't that a lovely shot there of the vast expanse of the Mara moving off to the east, with the lion in the foreground? His rather, well, shall we say, unimpressive mane at this stage of his life, just blowing in the wind. But no mean feat getting to this stage as a male lion. This is a very 1 in 10 or so, probably fewer than that, make it to adulthood. He's got most of the way there. It's by no means going to be easy for him from here on in, but at this point he's going to probably be okay. Difficulty for him, of course, also is that he has no friends. And that's not because he's necessarily an unpleasant fellow, but it's because he probably was thrown out of his pride without any brothers. He probably only had sisters and female cousins, and so when it came time for him to leave, he had to leave on his own. Now, that's not to say he won't form a coalition with an older male, or even with a male of his own age. But it will be very difficult for him as a single male lion to take a territory. And interestingly, Beverly, you say, do lone lions who meet one another fight for dominance? Beverly, they don't necessarily fight for dominance, no, especially if they're not territorial. So if you were to come across another nomadic male, there would almost certainly be some growling and hissing, and then those sort of relations would slowly warm and slowly thaw until eventually they formed a little coalition where they would be just as affectionate as related lions are. But they don't fight for dominance. There is very little in the way of a dominance hierarchy when it comes to lion. It is simply the largest member of the coalition dominates at the kills. They often share mating rights, not per estrus cycle. So if a female comes into estrus, she will be dominated by one male of the coalition, but it's not always certain which male that's going to be. So they do share mating rights. It's completely unlike, say, a hyena clan where there's a very, very strict hierarchy. And that's based on genetics. It's based on where you're born. You're born into the hierarchy. Very different from something like this, where you fight for your right to rule. In a hyena clan, you're born to it. Very interesting, that actually. It's very similar to human beings, I suppose. The only other species I know of that does that. I think we are going to stay with him for now. Let's head back to South Africa and Tara, and I'm sure those Birmingham boys must be yawning around about now. Perhaps they'll call.
Well, we did have a beady eye just open, see what we're up to. So he's definitely keeping a very close watch on us. But still no yawning as yet. But don't be fooled into thinking that these lions have no clue what's going on. If an impala was to walk through here, or if I was to get out the car, these males would be up like a shot. Now, it may take them a few moments if they're in a very deep sleep to realise what's going on, but those bellies are telling me they would take any opportunity because there is a lack of belly there. So the sun is almost completely gone, so it's just a little bit light, but it is almost gone. And now the darkness is their time. This is when they can make use of the night. But the problem is they have the moon now to contend with, and the moon can change the dynamics again. So under the cover of darkness, they have the upper hand. The herbivores are less likely to detect them, but in the full moon, and I think it is full moon tonight, the herbivores can see them approaching if they're not careful. So you generally find the herbivores going to the centre of an open plain so they can actually see any movement from the predators. So it's going to be against them tonight, and that could be why we're seeing the bellies not as full as what they could be. So the male on the right might have just hit it lucky, maybe with a small daker or something like that may have crossed his path. I've actually seen a bushbuck not realise that a sleeping lion was there and jumped over him, and he actually grabbed it. Absolutely incredible. So hopefully they will find a way to hunt tonight. Good afternoon to you, Raisa. Raisa asking if I've heard of the white mussel disease in the Unkahuma Pride, and I have, and I've not heard it before. And apparently it's because the vegetation has not been as nutritious as in previous years, because unfortunately South Africa has gone through quite a big drought, and it's not as bad this year, but it's still very, very dry. Even though we are in winter, it's still extremely dry. The dams are not as full as what they would be at this stage had they had the right amount of rainfall. So apparently, because there was not as much nutrients available for the buffalo, there wasn't enough nutrients really to pass on to the lions when the lions were feeding on the buffalo. So unfortunately the cubs, because they're so young, they were quite badly affected by it, and the musk isn't developing. So apparently a few cubs were susceptible to it, and they did actually gain the muscle this year, but not a nice disease. But I've not heard of it until coming back actually. But it's good to know that they can actually recover from it if they get the right food at the right time. Now I was just trying to work out how old these males might be, and you can see on the nose there, it's still slightly pink with a few speckles of black, and the other brother as well has a bit of pink. So generally speaking, the nose does change colour. So when they're first born, it's usually quite pink in colour, and as they get older, that pink becomes more black, and as they become sort of 10, 12, it's very, very black. So you can kind of have a guesstimate at the age. So looking at where the mane is on the body, bearing in mind what I said earlier, the mane can fall out, but it doesn't look like it's reached down the back behind the shoulder blades as yet. So I'm thinking they're probably around the 5, maybe 6-year-old mark, because they still have a little bit of pink there on the nose. I'm wondering if you can hear the arrow-marked babblers. They were just calling then, giving their evening chorus before they head to bed. And a few of the collared Cape turtle doves singing, but it is becoming quieter now. Still very peaceful for these two boys. So let's see if Brent's got any action with his lioness.
No, not just yet. We've got a giraffe that's watching lions in the distance. There we go. Oh, there's some warthogs jogging in the foreground there. Oh, look, there's a lioness right on the warthogs. I think they went behind you, madam. There's a warthog just behind you. Oh, there we go. There she goes. Oh, she's just missed. She's off to another one now. Oh, we didn't even see that happening. Those are the lions way down in the salt lick. What happened behind the bush? Oh no, and now it looks like our other lions disappeared as I was watching. Oh no, she is. She's on the stalk now. She's after the wildebeest, our closest lioness. There we go. It's all happening here down south. Has she been spotted by a wildebeest behind us? I'm not sure. So she's closing out. Some wildebeest have lain down, so they actually have bedded down for the night. They're sleeping, so it's going to be a little bit easier for her to possibly get closer before they notice her, and they've still got to stand up and try run away, but she's definitely moving a lot quicker than she was earlier. Look at that intense focus. Oh, we went from no action to all the action in a matter of seconds. But that's the joy of being on a live African safari. You never know what's going to happen next. Remember, #SafariLive if you want to ask us any questions. Kate, bacon or venison for dinner is Kate's comment. Well, indeed. I think those warthogs actually got away, but then I suddenly saw... Oh, wait. I know. I heard some wildebeest behind me. They got a fright, but I think it was from that little bushbuck we saw earlier. They might come barreling down towards her. So I just had a quick look in the binoculars. The other lionesses were not successful. and they've moved out to the right of where they were chasing. So when he moves my hand, they're about no, they're there. Sorry, a little bit to the left, Manu. So my fault. Right. Where did I see them? Somewhere in there. There we go. Well spotted. So they missed those warthogs. Snazzy said should have gone for the bacon rather than the venison. Well, sometimes they don't give up. They might be going to check out that hole there now, see if they can pull a warthog out from underground. No, you're going to sit down on the termite mound. So now our other lioness is probably about 50, 60 meters away from the wildebeest. But I think she might have got herself spotted. Right, just we've got a warthog running right up towards us. It could run straight into this female. It's coming. She doesn't know it's coming towards her yet. Okay. Piggy, did you just escape from one lion to run straight into another? That would be... Oh no, I think it spotted her. It did, it spotted her. Oh, dearie me. Lucky Piggy. Silly girl. Should have been looking behind you for a meal, not in front. Oh dear. Well, we're going to continue to see how the plight of our poor lonely lioness it goes as she continues to sneak closer and closer to the wildebeest, and who knows what might come up from behind next time. So while we do that, let's go see how James is faring, and he's not too far from me.
Well, here we have the lion, and what I'm going to ask Kirsten to do is to go to the thermal view if we can. Is that possible?
Hey.
And space for two.
There we go. Now, that is what we're going to be looking at during the night as darkness falls. And what I'm going to ask Viam to do now is to pan around to what he's looking at. He's looking at a whole lot of zebra and the same group of impala. They are heading along exactly the same road as the other bunch came from. And there are the zebra. And I think that he is going to begin hunting them pretty much as it gets dark, which is very exciting. Vim, what are we looking at there? It's certainly not a lion.
That's a zebra or something.
We can't use the thermal, sorry everybody, it makes us lose the sound. So now Vim is operating 2 cameras, by the way, with just 2 hands. He doesn't have 4 hands, he's only got 2. But he's still operating 2 cameras. We'll try and fix that audio problem, I'm not sure what it is. So I think he's going to get up and hunt. I think it's going to be worth sitting with him. I don't think that we should go looking for anything else. So I know we don't have a huge amount of time left in this drive. If you are wondering about the Facebook broadcasts, you can just go to the Safari Live page, click subscribe or like. I think you just have like it, you don't subscribe. And what will happen then is that you'll get a notification if we go live anytime during the night. And we will do that if he hunts or if Brent's lionesses, who seem to be fairly incompetent, but they seem to be very enthusiastic hunters. So as soon as they do something, we'll have a look at them too. All right, we can try the thermal again. While we look at the thermal. No audio. Are we back with normal? We are on thermal. Great, and the audio is back. Well, VMP, maybe we can look at the line of the zebras, if that's possible. We'll just swing across there. And of course you can see now how wonderfully useful this tool is in the night time. Isn't that cool? And while I don't think it's anything like what the lion can see, I mean, I'm pretty sure he doesn't see a heat signature, it is very, very special to be able to watch animals like that and, of course, broadcast them. And he's biding his time now as night starts to fall. The herds of wildebeest don't seem to have moved a huge amount since we went through them some time back. There they all are. You can see them there. Isn't that cool? And look at the warmth of the rocks on the top of the mountain there. And it looks like a city. It's not a city. Well, it is, I suppose, in a manner of speaking. It's a city of wildebeest. And interestingly, the zebra going towards them, I think that's quite telling. I wonder if there isn't some sort of seeking of security amongst a very big herd of wildebeest like that. And if there isn't some sort of thought process, even though it's probably a very instinctual one, that in amongst that many wildebeest, they're highly unlikely to be caught by a lion. Or anything else for that matter. There is, of course, somewhere in amongst that lot, a leopard who has stashed a piece, or not a piece, an enormous carcass, not an enormous carcass, a large carcass of wildebeest in a tree. So we might pop back there later, but I think for now we're going to wait and see what this chap does. You can see that he is up and looking, despite his corpulence. All right, Brent's lioness, very enthusiastic. You cannot fault her for her trying hard. Let's go back to her and see if this time her efforts pay off.
Well, she stopped and she started looking longingly at the herd of wildebeest again. I think she's going to wait it out now for dark before she attempts anything else again. And the others who are chasing the warthog down in the valley have also gone flat. And I think they will also be waiting it out for the cover of darkness to get closer to this big herd of wildebeest. So the wildebeest have moved out of these lower areas up onto the crest where there's less or slightly less chance of them getting noshed by one of the predators. But of course, when there are that many of you, there's always a chance for the predators. Now, someone was asking, Matt, there we go, Matt was wondering how well can lions see at night? And they can see about 8 times better than we can, Matt. So when we see pitch black, they can actually see quite well. Now, they do need a bit of ambient light around, but the trick that they have is that their eyes aren't so focused on detail as ours are. They will be looking for movement, rather. And of course the wildebeest can see a little bit better than us, and just a little bit better than us, but not nearly as well as a lion. So it is definitely a bit easier for the lions to take advantage of the night time hunting. But oh, hang on, oh, she's going to try to prove me wrong now. I'm all for that. And she's moving back up towards the wildebeest. Now there are some wildebeest lying down, but they are still quite a distance. And using that low-lying area with the long grass to approach. And she is heading up towards the crest now. Careful not to break your silhouette on the termite mound. There we go, you can see her moving between the termite mounds. There is one wildebeest that is a little bit away from the rest of the herd in some long grass ahead of her. I think that's what she spotted. It's just wandered ever so slightly. and she's probably now 40-50 meters, but the grass looks good. She's using that low area. Now the wildebeest are right on the edge of a very rocky area, so she might use that to her advantage, that they might stumble and fall when she charges, giving her an extra second or two to take advantage. And you see there's a couple of wildies that are just away from them. You can just see them in the grass, just on the other side of that termite mound. Oh, she hasn't been spotted yet. Linda says, go, go. Indeed, Linda, indeed, she's going. See those wildebeest sleeping? Those are the ones I was talking about. Just stay a little bit to the left. Just stay a bit wide, Manu. There we go, that's it. Stop there. Now let's just go a little bit to the left if we can see her. She has gone just into that grass. Now, welcome to everyone on Facebook. We have a lioness, mere inches, or not inches, I'm exaggerating, but a couple of meters away from a wildebeest that's sleeping in the grass there. Now, she's been hunting them all afternoon. We've been with her, and now she's finally, as dusk has come around, she's getting really, really close. Oh, she's right in that long grass. I'm trying to see. It's amazing sometimes how animals almost have an extra instinct. Just stay to the left a little bit, Manu. So Manu is on camera with me a little bit more. Okay, there. So she disappeared near that large termite mound and between the little one and the big one. So she could be slinking on her belly up to the edge of the herd. Now we're going to sit still in this spot. We don't want to interfere. Richie is wondering, is it the advantage of better eyesight? Sorry about that, guys. Richie was asking whether it's easier for a lion to hunt during the day or night. It's definitely easier to hunt at night. Now she must be very, very close now. Somewhere in that grass. Just trying to keep an eye out. We're just looking for any sign of her ears or movement. Those wildebeest have no idea. And it's quite the scene when she does go, because if she explodes out, that mass, those thousands of animals all stampede off. Where has she gone? Now she's getting into that sort of strike zone, that kill zone, which is about 20 meters. Oh, very ominous thunder roll in the distance there, setting the scene. Jane is wondering, is there a difference to where the lions hunt between a small and a big herd. Most definitely, Jane. And with a bigger herd, they will take a little bit less caution. They might just charge in to see if there's any movement or weakness or someone who moves a little bit late. Whereas with a smaller herd, they'll have to be far more cautious in their approach. There's less chance for error. There we go, she's gone. Right. Oh, she's missed. Oh dear, girly girl. There we go, she went and she missed. That is a lucky wildebeest. A very, very lucky wildly beast that one was. Okay, so those of us who joined us for a live lion hunt on Facebook, it was great to have you. Remember, we could be going live at any time if she tries to hunt the wildebeest again, so stay tuned and keep an eye on the Facebook pages. Okay, guys, well, it's been wonderful sharing the Mara and Djuma with you on this sunset safari. So from myself and Manu, it's been great, and obviously thanks to Tristan, James, Scott and Tara. Well, let's give you a last view of our lonely lioness as she walks down the hill. There she is. Shame, girl. But as I said, remember, keep an eye on Facebook, because we could be